It's the Saturday before Christmas, and all through the Baltimore house, the Colts and the Ravens were stirring, and it's raining. I'm sorry, I didn't not even a mouth. No, I'm Jewish. I couldn't rhyme that. Will it be an inconvenient truth for the Ravens today, or will they keep on keeping on their way to the playoffs? That's right.
Week 16 begins in Baltimore with the Ravens fighting for postseason survival and the Colts set to play spoiler. With just 2 weeks until the playoffs, Coach Steve Mariucci and Hall of Famer Michael Irvin debate who's in and who's out in this year's heated wildcard races. And as the regular season winds down, which of these MVP prospects will take home the hardware? That's all right here on NFL Game Day Kickoff presented by KFC.
Who the day gonna belong to? Make this your day, man. Make this your day.
All eyes on me. Revving it up. Getting started. Time to press play. Plugging it in. Level 10 to the earth. Hey! All eyes on me. All eyes on me.
Welcome to NFL Game Day Kickoff, presented by KFC.
Tarp is coming off at M&T Bank. Across the way at Camden Yards, the Orioles would be rained out, but this is the National Football League, and they're playing football in this weather. It's a rainy day, but about 61 degrees to kick off week number 16 in the National Football League, the first of 32 games remaining in the regular season that is going to decide a whole heck of a lot. I am Rich Eisen, along with Steve Mariucci and our playmaker, Pro Football Hall of Famer Michael Irvin, sitting at the end of the set right there. And I assume you were saving your Seahawk-colored suit for tomorrow's game day. I assume you have that one coming out of the closet.
Rich, I put it away when we lost 3 in a row, and I started a new tradition, kind of like, you know, you got to wear blue now.
Okay.
So cowboy color on Cowboy Game Day, but it's the Christmas holiday. We got to think more in the Christmas spirit.
Okay,
right
and Santa Mooch might come down the chimney on tomorrow's show as well.
Right.
But for the
And
moment,
Zeke is back. We don't need the suits anymore because Zeke, he'll take care of the business.
that's something that we're going to be talking about over the next 2.5 hours. The AFC playoff picture is simple. You've got 4 teams, essentially. Raiders and Dolphins are still alive. They do have that famed Dumb and Dumber chance. But you could see the Titans, Bills, Ravens, and Chargers are all battling for the final 2 wild card spots right now that the Titans and Bills are currently occupying. Randy Moss dodging the raindrops for us, in part in Baltimore. Randy, take it away.
And, Rich, it is a raw day out here. The field's in good shape right now because of the tarp that's coming off, but there is a 100% chance of rain this afternoon, so it's going to get worse. The Ravens just hoping this doesn't muddy up their playoff chances, which look good right now. But remember, in 2013, they needed just 1 win in their last 2 games to make it to the playoffs. They lost both. They made it to the playoffs in 2014, and then last year, everyone remembers that great Antonio Brown play where he took the ball in one hand, last play of the game, stretched it, broke the plane, Steelers won. That was against the Ravens. The Ravens thought they had that game won. The loss knocked them out of the playoffs. So the Ravens know firsthand in the NFL, you can take nothing for granted, especially on a day like this. Let's go outside the stadium now to Melissa Stark.
Well, Randy, thanks very much. And you see all these Reggie Wayne jerseys there. I got Reggie with me here. I'm sure they wish you could suit up for them today. They haven't made the playoffs since you left.
Oh, man, I think they're still holding on hope of what the last time we made the playoffs. But it's good to see a couple of Reggie Wayne jerseys out there.
Well, of course we wish it were snowing, but that is not the case because it's unseasonably warm here in Baltimore at 60 degrees. You're not even wearing a jacket. You're used to battling these elements.
You know what? I say, I'm kind of getting in playoff form right now. When you in playoff form, you got to be ready for all the weather. So right now, I'm in playoff form. I'm ready to go.
Well, the Ravens trying to be in playoff form. Huge game for them. Need a win this week and next week to get into the playoffs. What are you looking for today?
I'm looking to see Joe Flacco. It's all about Joe Flacco and how far he can take this team. Will we see the Joe Flacco of weeks 1 through 12 where he struggled, had 9 touchdowns and 11 interceptions, or will we see Joe Flacco from week 12 to now where he's 5 touchdowns and 1 interception? So we know this defense is pretty solid, but it's all about Joe Flacco throwing the ball across the yard and seeing if he can get the offense in the right turn.
And I know you were hanging out with your former teammates last night, sitting at 311. Not a position that you're used to ever having been in. They're playing the role of spoiler.
You know what? They are. They're playing smaller, but not only that, they have to understand there's no certainty with Chuck Pagano right now. So you need to understand that the next coach may not be the coach that likes you. So you're playing for a reason. You have to go out there and put out good tape, not only for the coach, but for the other 31 teams. So they definitely have something to play for.
A reason to play for everyone today. All right, we are just getting started here on this rainy day. At least it's warm here at M&T Bank Stadium. Rich, back to you.
Yes, indeed. Good day for defense and the Ravens. This Ravens team became the 5th team and since the 1990 playoffs to have 3 shutouts in a regular season, including the 2000 Ravens. The only team to not make the Super Bowl with had to have such an offensive genius coach to turn a defensive team like that into just a non-Super Bowl winner. Who coached those 2001 49ers? 3 shutouts. Go figure that right there. Pretty good, huh? Okay,
Thanks,
so
they love the coach this morning.
let's talk about this Ravens team because they're set up. They've got the Colts at home today, and then they've got a team that they should beat in Cincinnati coming into their house to end the season. That could be a 10-6 record, most likely, right? And that could be good enough as a 5 seed. It could get them a trip to Kansas City and maybe to Pittsburgh again or maybe to New England. Steve Mariucci, how far of a run do you think the Ravens could make starting
Rich,
today?
this team is trending up, okay? It starts with a good defense, very good defense. It's not just the 3 shutouts, but this is a talented defense that's been playing ball all year. And add to that, the last 5 games, the offense is getting better. Yeah, they're still 27th on offense overall. Forget about all that. The last 5 games, 4-1, they're averaging 31 points a game. So Joe Flacco's healthier, more confident right now. This team has got a chance now to become that 5th seed. I think they will, but they got to play ball. We'll see what happens. I don't know how deep they can go in the playoffs. There's some real good teams up there.
Real good teams, Coach. And I thought about this because I said first, you know, I don't think they'll get that deep in the playoffs because the offense isn't consistent enough. But that's what makes this game greater than all the other sports. In those other sports, usually the best team wins because you get 3 games or 7 games to prove in a series. In this game, you can win any given Sunday. They just played Pittsburgh a couple weeks ago and played them to a last-second win. Pittsburgh had to come up with a last-second win. 38 right, and put up 38 on Pittsburgh. We keep talking about the AFC top being Pittsburgh in New England. They played Pittsburgh to the end. So I do believe they'll definitely get in the playoffs. I believe they can win 1 or 2 games. I also question if they can consistently do it week in, week out. Remember when they did get on that run, they had a guy called a trust-me thrower. They don't have that guy to take over now.
Well, even with Anquan on that team, what we just had a discussion about sounded like what we were talking about going into the 2011 playoffs for that Ravens team.
Right.
And then look what happened, right? So you just never know, and it could
Joe
start.
Flacco had a lot of money on the line.
Today. Yes, he did.
He had a lot of money on the line.
Oh, look at the nice sweaters of Jalen Hill and Anthony Levine Sr. coming in today. Look at that.
I hope all the guys do this today.
You were wearing something like that.
Those are elite. That's elite. We know that's elite.
Well, who wins the ugliest sweater? We're going to have a contest.
I like it.
Right now, the ugliest sweater.
NFL Game Day Kickoff is presented by KFC. Fill your family's mouth stockings with a $20 fill-up. It's finger-licking good. And brought to you by Amazon Prime.
So who's your MVP? Tom Brady, Russell Wilson, Antonio Brown. Hey, this type of play the others dream, but can't be seen with 6 TVs. Best in league, elite QBs, wide receivers, MVP. Tom Brady play with ease, picture perfect. They say cheese. His passes magic tricks, ain't no need to check his sleeves. Look, your boy AB, what you need? Hands or speed, huh? Cause he got both. You play him close and lose your cleats, huh? And Russell Wilson for the Seahawks never beat off. Them skills that just can't be bought. That's why they're the MVP target.
All right, Tom Brady, MVP candidate. Nobody has more passing yards than this 40-year-old Antonio Brown. will still leads the league in receptions and receiving yards, and may just by the end of the season, even by missing the last 2. Carson Wentz still leads the league in passing touchdowns despite missing the last 5 quarters.
Buddy.
Russell Wilson has 30 touchdowns. He's second place, and I think that 81.9% is off.
Buddy.
I think it's 1,000% of the Seahawks yards have been accrued by Russell Wilson. Cynthia Freeland gives the MVP talk into the game theory hopper.
Drew Brees won't lead the league in passing yardage for the 6th time in 7 seasons, but his impact on the Saints offense should make him the top contender for the 2017 NFL MVP. Brees doesn't benefit from the same depth at receiver as some of his peers, but the Saints signal caller is having a career year. At 77.5, his completion percentage in the 4th quarter is 8% better than the next closest quarterback. And when games are within 7 points in the 4th quarter, his air yards per completion balloons to 8, up from 4.8 in all other situations, meaning the late game accuracy isn't coming from just screens and checkdowns. I know what you're thinking. Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara change everything. And it's true, they've been very influential, especially in reducing Brees' turnovers. However, last season's MVP, Matt Ryan, had the best running back duo alongside him, finishing with more scrimmage yards and touchdowns than any other backfield, as will almost certainly be the case this year in New Orleans. And one last thing, 5 of the last 6 quarterbacks to win MVP have had an increase of 3 or more wins from the previous season. The same can be said for Brees, who improved the Saints' win total from 7 to 10 wins and counting. Brees is a model of quarterback effectiveness, completing meaningful passes in critical game situations, and deserves to be considered a favorite for his first MVP.
Some interesting information right there from Cynthia Freeland as that sets up our courtyard's greatness on the road, even though Brees is going to be at home against the Falcons this week. I mean, how about that? First of all, he's never won MVP.
That's shocking.
amazing.
Right?
That is.
Secondly, how about the fact that she's right. Cynthia's right. Everybody's like, well, you got Kamara and you've got Ingram.
Yeah.
Well, last year, Ryan had the same situation, and everyone was like, oh, my gosh, he's the MVP for the first time.
Right.
So,
you become a victim of your own success.
Think about
Drew Brees, he's thrown for 5,000 yards, Rich. What, 7, 8 times, Coach? We were talking about this the other day. You know, he's thrown, so you become a victim of your own success.
Well, he'll definitely have a bust in the same room that you have one, though, Irv. But let's answer this question that's being posed right now. Should he be considered in the MVP race? That he's not really.
Well, there's no doubt. And Cynthia Freeland gave us some good information there that just kind of talks me into saying absolutely yes. Yeah. Maybe win the darn thing. Let's play 2 more games. That's when the voting comes in after 2 more games, because wins has a lot to do with it too. He's got 10 wins. A couple other quarterbacks have 11, but Drew Brees, last time I saw him, before he went to training camp, was down in Southern California. He was at the park with his 4 kids, and he was playing catch with his boys. And he was just, he loves football so much. And then he was jumping on a plane to go do this. And he's just an amazing guy on and off the field. Drew Brees, I hope you get one. You deserve to have an MVP.
Yeah, I say, he's victim of his own success, and then I do it to him, actually, by saying, he is a candidate, but I primarily put him as a candidate because the top 2 candidates are first out, and I believe that's Carson Wentz and AB over there with Steelers. But I also want to get on the board and jump on this desk for Case Keenum.
Yeah.
I mean, we keep waiting on the slipper to fall off Cinderella or the carrot to turn back into a pumpkin. And I was waiting too. But if you look at this man keeps improving. Since week 10, he's #1 across the board in wins, completion percentage, and passer ratings. In the last 7 games, that Vikings offense has scored 30 points in 4 of those last 7 games. I say Case Keenum, man, we got to put him in that bowl and stop waiting on him to turn back into the ugly duckling.
Well, and that's well said. All right. And then Drew Brees, actually. Let's face it. There's a guy there. You can't ignore the guy from Michigan over here with Tom Brady. He's won it a couple times. 40 hours old.
It's insane.
He's 40 years old, and I don't know if that's a negative or a positive. This guy just keeps playing great football.
And it might
but he's got the most wins. That's what we pay our quarterbacks to do, is win. I don't care how, just win. He's got the most passing yards per game. He's second in passer rating to Alex Smith. I mean, he's doing it all without Julian Edelman. I mean, so come on. This guy's got to be.
Why would you say this will be his best Best year.
If he wins it all, he's got to
50
finish
touchdown passes
with that
one year.
defense and the problem.
Let me give you two other names here, okay? Because Ben Roethlisberger may be the only quarterback whose receiver always gets the attention, like Santonio Holmes won the MVP of the Super Bowl. Everyone's talking about Antonio Brown this, Antonio Brown that, rightfully so, but somebody's got to get him the ball.
Point, Rich. That's a great point.
And then another one is Todd Gurley is ripping it up at the running back position in a way that we have not seen in quite some time. So that's two other names. It's going to be a wide open MVP race. Check out who earned the title of Courtyard's Greatness on the Road Player of the Week every single week, starting Monday morning on NFL.com. GOTR. Face painting in Baltimore for Christmas weekend. Let's check on some more ugly sweater. Carl Davis.
Wait a minute. One is Santa, one's an elf. Okay.
Carl Davis. Look, Santa is ripped, man.
Yeah.
Sleeveless
Santa's
Santa.
been lifting weights.
I've heard of Secret Santa, but not Sleeveless Santa.
Coming up on NFL Game Day Kickoff. 4 teams in a battle for 2 postseason berths. Our experts reveal who's in and who's out in the narrow AFC wildcard race. Meanwhile, the Steelers' battle for a first-round bye continues on Christmas Day. But how potent will their offense be without their MVP-caliber wideout?
I'll be honest, AB's, you can't replace him with one man.
And next, his life gave others the chance to live theirs.
Conrad always wanted to do right, and he wanted to do right by mankind. His heart knew the journey that it had to take.
The inspiring story of former Baltimore Raven Conrad Rulin. When TNF Game Day, presented by KFC, returns.
Balmy day, high 50s, low 60s in Baltimore, but it is raining, as you could see, and it should rain throughout the day. This is nothing new to the native Baltimorean named Melissa Stark in her home city. Melissa?
Thanks very much, Rich. How do you measure a life or a football career? Consider a backup journeyman tight end named Conrad Rulin, who spent 5 seasons in the NFL, some of it on practice squads. Well, as you will see in the latest installment of NFL 360, Rulin's life extends far beyond the scope of his playing career.
We have a saying here at Mission. Tradition never graduates. You are part of that tradition. When you put that helmet on tonight, you understand what it represents. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Tonight, we're playing for a young man who was part of that great tradition. Right now, make a commitment to yourselves that each and every play, you'll play like there's no tomorrow. 2 feet, 2 left, oh! 2 feet, 2 left, oh! Know you're part of something special, and let's go out and kick some ass tonight.
Day to you. How old are you?
I'm 28 years old. Stop laughing at me, Shell. The cake says
I kind of had an epiphany of sorts where I realized that there's certain things that are just out of my control that I'm getting upset about.
The 2011 NFL Draft.
During the draft, he was not chosen.
He had a rough start. That's to his credit, how he just kept grinding.
He said, no, I'm going for this. This is what I want to do, and I know I belong here. He was just determined. He was tenacious. From as far back as I can remember, he had heart.
Show me your friends, I show you. Show me your scars.
In utero. But I said, this one is active. He was kicking my ribs out.
Must be nice. So
He was curious. He was high-spirited.
Protected his brothers and those people that just needed to be protected. He was there for them.
As 11-year-old, he came home from school and said, I met Rod Carew today. Oh, I want to be a pro athlete. That's what I want to do. That was like the highlight of his life at that moment. After his freshman year, he said, I really want to try football. He just took to the sport, and that was his life. That was his passion.
A Stanford football season for the ages.
Being an undrafted rookie, he was undeterred, used his work ethic and his determination, signed as a free agent.
He'd be cut by this team, grabbed to another team, be cut again. He just kept grinding and got with another team, got with another team.
It all boils down to my effort, and I know that the big man upstairs is he's gonna do with it what he wants.
It was a Saturday night after Thanksgiving. Conrad had called, said, hey, I was working out. I felt this click in my head and then got this headache behind my left eye.
Dad said Conrad's went to the hospital. I dropped everything about 11 o'clock at night, and Ralph was over there.
They had already saw the aneurysm.
They sent his films and readings around the world to see how they should tackle this rare aneurysm. After 4 days, it burst, and they performed a 17-hour surgery. He never regained consciousness. Conrad was pronounced brain dead on December 12th. So that morning when I got up, I just went over to him and I laid my right ear on his heart and held his hand, just listening to his heartbeat.
Just want to offer our condolences to his family. We love Conrad Ruhlin. Every single guy in that locker room loves him.
My phone rang. It was from the hospital saying that they had found me a heart. I didn't think about dying. I know that I wasn't afraid to die. I had a massive heart attack.
His heart was beginning to fail. He had several gastrointestinal bleeds. The last bleed he had was actually on the brain. It was becoming a dire situation.
If I wasn't able to get Conrad's heart, I might not be here.
How you doing, man? Hey.
It's always good.
Now that I'm older, not feeling so.
Seeing a gentleman powered now by our son's heart, it was an amazing sight and feeling.
Make a wish.
After I found out he was the one that I had met when he was about 11 years old, who would have thought he would have been the one to make a big turnaround and save my life?
Someone who had...
Conrad always wanted to do right, and he wanted to do right by mankind. His heart knew the journey that it had to take. His heart and left kidney went to Rod Carew, and then there's another lady who was waiting for a donor. She got his right kidney.
It's remarkable. It's sort of this ripple effect. It's not just about Conrad and Rod.
We recently got a letter from the gentleman that got his liver, was battling cancer. He said, your son's was a perfect match.
There's so many more people that are affected.
Hi, Conrad, it's Mama. And I am so proud of you from the man you were becoming. And I was looking forward to having more of that.
Thank you for this wonderful heart that you've given me.
You're one of our favorite of all time.
You loved everyone around you and protected them. And very blessed to have been a part of such a fantastic life. And to continue your work with helping others.
What you did in your adulthood was admirable.
I can't tell you how proud we are of you, son.
You are my hero.
You're my brother, and we're going to do a lot of great things together.
The Ruland and Carew families are working together to raise awareness of the importance of organ and tissue donation. They ask you to visit www.donatelife.net to register today. We are just getting started here at M&T Bank Stadium as the Ravens host the Indianapolis Colts. The Ravens looking for a win to get into the playoffs.
Bucket List is brought to you by KFC. Because no matter what year it is, fried chicken and football are a winning combination. Time for the Bucket List, presented by KFC.
The quest to remain relevant, meaningful games in December, and the playoff hope remains alive.
End zone! He's in the clear. He's going to score. Touchdown! That is such good football right there. Wow! He is tagged! Pass is picked off, and what a play. Yes! And the defense picks up the offense. I can't say enough about this football team.
They control their own fate. If you come out here and play well, then you're going to have an opportunity to get to the postseason.
All they want for Christmas in Baltimore is for Santa to deliver them what's on his head right there.
Yeah.
I'm just assuming, I'm assuming that's not the real Santa. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that.
Not the real ring.
I don't mean to rain on anybody's parade. But you could see right now the Ravens on the outside looking in. They win out though, they're going to be in at 10-6. One would think, unless the Titans and Bills win out too. Well, lots of possibilities over the next 32 games and 2 weeks. Melissa Stark and Reggie Wayne take it away.
Yes, Rich, as you know very well, anything can happen in the final 2 weeks of the season.
Anything.
So as you just saw, the Ravens currently on the outside looking in. So if you have to say your AFC playoff picture right now, who do you have in?
When you talk about that, it's all about matchups. And right now, the 5th seed Tennessee Titans, they're not matching up pretty good. Right now, the remaining teams they have is Jacksonville and the Rams. That's not a good matchup. It doesn't work in your favor. That's two young teams. That one is offensively with the Rams. They're outstanding. Then you got Jacksonville. That defense, they're not scared of anybody.
All right, so the Titans are out.
Titans are out of there.
Okay.
Buffalo slides up.
Buffalo.
And the game today.
That plays at New England and at Miami?
Exactly. I think they split that. They lose to New England, but they beat the Dolphins in Miami. Something about the palm trees. But I have the game today, the Baltimore Ravens sliding in there because, like I said, matchups. They have the Colts and they also have the Bengals. Both of those guys combined, they only have 8 wins, so it works in their favor.
All right, but you have to remember that the Ravens last year, they did sit at 8-6 at this exact same time, lost the final 2 remaining games. So let that drive them, right?
Absolutely.
Today. Rich, back to you.
All right, thanks very much. Much appreciated. As you could see, it's 4 teams right now. Now, technically, the Dolphins and Raiders are still alive, but these are the teams for 2 seats left in the AFC wildcard musical chairs that have the best chance of making it, maybe even making a run. Mooch, Irv, take it away.
All right, Irv, let's do the touchscreen. I love the touchscreen, don't you?
Yes.
All right, so let's determine if here's the 5 seed, 6, 7, and 8. It's going to come right down to the wire. I love this. So I get to go first, right?
You got it, Coach. How do you got it?
And then, okay, so Tennessee Titans right now they're the 5 seed, but they got the toughest schedule here. Looking right up. They are going to go. They're going to lose that one to the Rams, and then the defense. I say they lose. They go 8-8. Okay. The Bills. They haven't been in there in 18 years in the playoffs. They're not going to go to New England and win, so they're going to lose there. But I think they can beat Dolphins over there.
Got to get in there, finish 9-7.
Gentlemen, pack your engines right there. All right, so here we go. Ravens. I think they got a good schedule here. Favorable at home. They win that one. They win this one right here. And they end up 10-6, Mike.
It's 10-6.
Chargers. And they win this one. And they can beat Oakland at home to finish the season and go 9-7. So if this is the case, that means these guys are out. And these guys are 9-7, but remember, they beat them 54-24. So my way of looking at it, the Ravens will be the 5 seed. They will be the 6 seed.
Coach, I like what you're doing. I like you still got Chargers in because I was on the Chargers one time, and I do think they'll win out. So I'll leave that. They'll finish at 9-7. I know Baltimore. I believe Baltimore also wins out. They win today. Yeah, and Cincy, they'll have the bags packed, man, trying to get the next season. That's what they'll do right there. Right here, though, this is going to be good. I do think Buffalo lose to New England and win in Miami. I'll leave that. But here's the difference, Coach.
What?
For me, I got Tennessee losing to the Rams today, but losing to the Rams this week, but winning in Jacksonville, because I don't think Jacksonville's playing for anything in that spot. They may not be playing for anything. They're resting their players, and the Titans come back and win this game.
So if that's
the
case,
that case, I have San Diego missing out because they lost that game and cost me a game right there. But I got Baltimore.
They're 5.
Getting in at the 5. And the Titans, like I told you at the beginning of the year, will be in at the 6th spot.
Rich, what do you think?
I agree with you, Mooch. I think that does happen. I'm as much as I like the Titans a lot, and it's very rare though that you're the coach of the team that you'd like to lose 2 of your last 2 as opposed to splitting the 2, because if it is this, if it's not this and it's this, then suddenly everyone's going to remind Sean McDermott of the day that he started Nate Peterman in this man's house. Yeah, and that might be the difference to making the playoffs or not.
Oh my God. 54.
That one game will not be a good day for Sean McDermott, I'll tell you that.
Jacoby.
Okay, there's Jacoby Brissett, who was traded to the Colts on the outset of the season and has started every game. Who would have thought that's the case going into this Week 16 kickoff?
NFL Game Day Kickoff is brought to you by K Jewelers. Every kiss begins with K. And by Courtyard, official hotel of the NFL.
So that's the scene in Baltimore, Maryland. The rain is not dampering the pregame parade, as you can see. Rainy day in balmy Balmer, the Saturday before Christmas. Back out to the stadium when Melissa starts.
Rich, thanks very much. We wish it were snow, but we'll take it. We're excited for kickoff. And tight end Ben Watson, he is leading the 8-6 Ravens in receiving touchdowns, but his impact is felt far beyond the football field. For the second time in his career and with a second different team, he is a nominee for the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. Here with the story is the 2007 winner of that award, Jason Taylor.
Our journey in the NFL has taken us to New England for 6 years, Cleveland for 3 years, and then over to New Orleans for 3 years, and finally to Baltimore. Wherever we are, we want to try to be a blessing to people around us. And this is
Solomon, we call him Soj. That's his initials.
So this is the second team to nominate you for their Walter Payton Man of the Year award. What does that mean to you?
I've had so many guys before me that I've looked up to that did so many things in the community, and then when you see your name amongst them, it's really an honor.
Your first book you wrote, Under Our Skin. Mm-hmm. Tell me about why you wrote that and kind of the framework around that period of time.
It was 2014. The officer had just killed Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri. And I was angry and I was upset. And I said, how is this still happening to us? I'm not going to ask for a show of hands, but if I did, I would imagine that most of you would say, you know what? This racism thing is kind of a big issue, but we really don't like to talk about it.
Some of the issues that you address and face are race relations, obviously, sex trafficking, domestic abuse. Not many guys kind of branch out and step into that realm, and for whatever reason, you haven't been intimidated by that.
If we really care about getting this right and understanding where injustices still occur, we never will if we're not willing to engage with each other and have that uncomfortable conversation.
Throughout the course of whether it's speaking or all the charitable events you do, have you had that moment where you say, wow, that's exactly why I do this?
Yeah, it happens a lot. And there's also moments where I say, I don't want to do this, and nothing's going to change because the world we live in is so messed up. And then I'll get an encouraging word or something will happen, and I say, you know what, Lord, if you want me to continue speaking about these things, I'll do it. Growth doesn't happen when you're comfortable.
When all is said and done, how does Benjamin Watson want to be remembered? Not as a football player, but as a person.
I want to be remembered as somebody who walked humbly before God. You know, when he had an opportunity with his platform, he tried to affect positive change locally as well as across the country. If they can say that about me, I know that I've lived well.
Watson's work is a year-round endeavor and seems likely to continue beyond the scope of his playing career. But today, his focus is on one thing, and that is beating the Indianapolis Colts and keeping the Ravens' playoff hopes alive, Rich.
Truly one of the most remarkable individuals that we've met since launching the NFL Network in 2003. Benjamin Watson, who's been around our studio a lot. He's been on our shows so much. As you could see, he's got the decal on the Ravens helmet for the Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee. You can vote for him, as you could say, in the hashtag challenge he's asking for your help on. Truly one of the most remarkable individuals you'll ever meet. He wears cleats, and a helmet, and pads for a living. We'll see Benjamin Watson out there against the Colts today. Don't go anywhere. Back with more in a moment. Yeah, it's 45 years ago today, the Immaculate Reception. Of course, now if that happened today, we'd wonder if the ball survived the ground.
I hope John Madden's not watching. He'll have a bad day if he sees this again.
Oh, my. Could you imagine if there was replay 45 years ago?
Oh, wow.
Week 15 encounter of the National Football League of the top two teams in the AFC.
Into the end zone, it's broken up in the end zone. The net's Antonio Brown holding his left leg.
That is not good.
Throws down the middle for Gronk, makes the catch at the 45.
Gronkowski's making catches all over this field and bring this team back in the fourth quarter.
That's Juju Smith-Schuster. Still on his feet, cuts inside at the 30.
Wow, that was amazing.
Throws it for the touchdown to Casey James.
Unbelievable.
After reviewing the play, the receiver did not survive the ground. It's an incomplete pass.
So the clock is ticking. Steelers are on a timeout.
To the play, we're not clocking it.
He throws toward the middle, and an interception in the end zone.
I just feel like I got punched in the stomach.
And the Steelers come up that short.
All right, barring anything unforeseen, that's the way things are going to finish up at the top of our playoff picture in the AFC. Patriots 1, Steelers 2. Look, change the rule, people. I'm saying it right now. I'm going to use this platform right now. Change the rule. If a receiver has 2 feet down or 1 knee down in the field of play and they're untouched, like Jesse James, and then they reach for the goal line, it doesn't matter. The ground cannot cause an incompletion once they have reached across the goal line. End of story.
Just like a runner.
Change it. Meanwhile, one day soon, Antonio Brown or other players of note like this won't emerge from a Patriot game looking like this. I mean, Le'Veon Bell didn't survive the AFC Championship game. He had a groin injury. Antonio Brown didn't play the final 2.5 quarters of this game because he, as you can see, he's now on a scooter right now. We're assuming he will be back in time for a playoff game for the Steelers. Certainly would be better off for the Steelers to get that bye week or not. And in that case, we will see them on Christmas Day on this network in Houston, and then they go home to take on the Browns. We assume they will win them both, but we all know about assuming. This is a family audience. We won't go any further into all of that. How will this offense survive and look without Antonio Brown, Steve?
Well, you know, this doesn't happen very often because he's only missed 4 games in the last 6 years, okay? So this guy's been really dependable. So, you know, Martavis Bryant, he's been doing very well. 4 catches the last 4 games, 4 or more catches. And Juju Smith-Schuster, man, what a surprise that was this year. He's playing great. So they need another receiver. Well, you know what? This guy named Le'Veon Bell and played wide receiver. He's not just a runner. Let's take a look at some next-gen stats presented by Mercedes-Benz. They don't just let him run from the backfield. They will split this guy out as a wide receiver quite often. In fact, he's got 17 catches out there when he's lined up as a receiver. You remember your triplets? Was Emmitt Smith ever lined up outside like a wide receiver? Like a Michael
not
Irvin?
much now.
But
Not
this
much, but
guy
he
can
could.
do all of that. You know, so you're talking about we want to see more of Lev Bell. We want some more bell cow, or we want some more cowbell. We want some more cowbell. You got some cowbell. You want some more cowbell? That's what I'm asking for.
I got some cowbell right
Cowbell,
there.
Rich.
Wait, I never understood why the cowbell don't have a bell inside. What is
Mooch,
why don't
here, Mooch, explore the studio space with that. Go walk around. Explore the studio space.
Let me tell you something, man. Hey, the bell cow, the cowbell, and Le'Veon's going to help. But the reality is, Juju Smith-Schuster becomes the #1 receiver. Are you actually walking around?
Explore the studio space, Mooch. Explore it.
Are you joking?
What?
Come on, man.
Oh, sorry about that. I got carried away.
When you were in diapers, he was making gold-plated records.
Get out of here. I can't believe you just were walking
More
around.
cowbell. No more analysis is needed. None more. But we do need a prescription because I have a headache now.
Oh.
Steelers and Texans. Keep going,
my
Steve.
God.
Explore the studio space.
The cowbell.
Greatest Saturday Night Live sketch ever. Greatest. Christmas Day, 4:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll be on the air at 2 p.m. Eastern. Merry Christmas.
Get that ball to Juju Smith, man.
NFL Network.
I can't believe
we need a prescription.
Cowbell segment. I cannot believe we just did a cowbell segment. We just did a cowbell segment.
I think it just smells out here. I don't know what it is.
Yeah! Yes, sir! That's just what we need. Touchdown!
I need a sack.
Oh, okay.
Oh, take the sack! Let's go! Let's go! Let my instincts go. Go play football.
How many tackles you got?
The 2 best friends, but they didn't have a handshake.
Put us in the right spot.
What a game.
Tomorrow at 7, Dak Prescott sits down to discuss Zeke's return.
His energy, it exudes through everybody, and it's contagious.
Plus, our guys break down the latest postseason possibilities. NFL Game Day morning, tomorrow at 7, live on NFL Network. Toe drags, fumble recoveries, strip sacks.
I got it.
If it's NFL football and it happened, we got it. Never miss a thing with broadcast replays, condensed games, and coaches' film. NFL Game Pass. Get it for a new lower price today.
A rainy Christmas weekend Saturday in Baltimore for the kickoff of the penultimate week of the National Football League regular season. The Ravens need a win to keep their playoff hopes churning it forward.
2 weeks to go, and 2 games decide their fate. Will the Ravens get one step closer to Wild Card Weekend, or will the Colts pull the upset tonight in Baltimore? Meanwhile, it's win and in tomorrow at the Superdome. But which NFC South power will claim the division crown? And 6 weeks without their feature back, the 8-6 Cowboys are still in the hunt. Will the return of Ezekiel Elliott send the reigning NFC East champs back to the postseason as a wild card? Week 16 is underway on NFL Game Day Kickoff, presented by KFC.
Who the game gonna belong to? Make this your game, man. Make this your game. All eyes on me. Revving it up. Getting started. Time to press play. Plugging it in, lever into the earth. Hey! All eyes on me. All eyes on me.
Welcome to NFL Game Day Kickoff, presented by KFC.
Again, just think about the season this young man has had. Started the season in New England, a surprise trade due to Andrew Luck's uncertain situation in his shoulder that wound up with him not playing a single game this year, and Brissett starting every single game at quarterback for the Colts going into this Week 16 opener in Baltimore. I am Rich Eisen along with Steve Mariucci and Michael Irvin. There are 6 teams still alive for 2 wild card spots. The Raiders, who finished off the week in Philadelphia, is one. The Dolphins, who visit the 4th-seeded Chiefs. The Chiefs win that game. They clinch the AFC West, is another team. And then you've got 4 teams that have more of a realistic shot at those last 2 spots, including the team that we see hosting the kickoff to Week 16 today in Baltimore, where the coach and T-Sizzle let us know what's at stake.
We have guys that know what's at stake. One of the guys sent me a text saying that they know what's at stake as a team. He spelled it S-T-E-A-K.
We know what's at stake, S-T-E-A-K. Yeah, it was me.
I texted back, yes, this is a rare opportunity.
Good stuff. By the way, I was wrong. Brissett did not start the season for this team. It was Scott Tolzien. It was, as one might imagine, a forgettable performance, if you remember.
Yeah.
But the start of something that appears to be quite special for the Los Angeles Rams, who have a chance to clinch the NFC West this weekend, with Seattle taking on that man's Dallas Cowboys later on, late window tomorrow. But let's talk about the game that we're going to have right on our air to start Week 16. Randy Moss is in Baltimore right now.
Well, Rich, he's obviously still eating steak, but Terrell Suggs is now 35 years old. He had trouble staying healthy the last couple of seasons, so he stayed in Baltimore to go through the Ravens' off-season program for the first time in his 15-year career. That paid off this week when he was named to his 7th Pro Bowl, his first Pro Bowl in 4 seasons. He had said making the Pro Bowl again would, quote, show I can still play. The rest of the NFL had to be laughing at that. This season, he's had 11 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, and a chance to add to that today since the Colts give up more sacks than any other team in the NFL. Chuck Pagano, the coach of the Colts, who spent 4 years here as an assistant, said that Suggs is a first ballot Hall of Famer. He said every time you turn on the tape, you expect to see something different from Suggs, but years go by and nothing changes. Let's go back to Melissa.
Well, Randy, thanks very much, and he must be licking his chops because I have Reggie Wayne here. And save from Reggie suiting up today. We have seen a few of your jerseys out there.
A couple of them out there.
How is this Colts offense going to attack the Ravens defense?
Well, Melissa, you have to start off by running the ball with Frank Gore and Marlon Mack. You can't abandon it. Even if the run game is struggling a little bit, you have to stay positive, and that way you can also work the clock and make every possession for the Ravens count.
Well, and Randy also pointed out that the Colts lead the league in giving up sacks.
Ooh.
So they got to try to keep him upright. And what about this weather? Because we do have our umbrellas, as you can see. It's a balmy 60 degrees, but it's raining, and it's going to rain.
That's why you have to run the ball. It's important. Me being a former receiver, I hate wet games.
Yeah.
It's tough. So you have to run the ball often and early and just keep it that way and just live by it. Because if you abandon it and you let Terrell Suggs and company tee off on your offensive line, getting the Jacoby Brissett, it'll be a long game.
Well, and also when you think about weather games like this one, slick, turnovers, and the Ravens lead the league in takeaways. So that's something they got to avoid.
That's not good news if you're the Colts fan. So hopefully they can figure that out. I'm sure they're alert about that. And just run the ball. You got Frank Gore.
You
got Frank Gore.
Just run the ball.
Future Hall of Famer.
The fans here
run
like
the ball.
it. The fans here like, run the ball, we'll stop you anyway, right? All right, Rich, back to you.
All right, thanks very much. As we showed you previously, this team, the Baltimore Ravens, who have beaten, as you could see, teams that are not currently in the playoffs 8 times, and of the 6 losses, they're all currently in the playoffs, you could see, except for the Bears right there and the Tennessee Titans, who might be in the playoffs when it's all said and done. And that's not a good tiebreak for them, that should that wind up in the position over the next 2 weeks. But as we showed you in the first hour of this show, 3 shutouts for this defense this year.
Right.
Only the 5th team since the playoffs currently expanded to what it looks like right now in 1990 have had 3 shutouts, and only one team, this man's 0-1 49ers, did not go to the Super Bowl and win it all. So how do the Colts attack this Ravens defense today?
Rich, and you also talked about the Pittsburgh game, how many points they put up. You know, because this time of the year right now, let's be real. Guys are in that locker room having real conversations about how far their team can go. And I guarantee you, you got those Ravens defensive player sitting around thinking about, okay, how far can we go in these playoffs? Same questions we're asking, what do we have to do to go far in this playoffs? And they're looking at their offense, and I guarantee you they're saying to each other, we got to make sure we hold every team to 2 touchdowns and a field goal. Can't give up any more than 17. That's their way of saying, we just don't know what our offense will get. But they'll put it on themselves. We got to hold this team to 17 points. And if we do that, we'll have a shot. Now, on the other end, I believe that offense is saying we got to show our defense that we can battle. That's why they put up those 38 points against Pittsburgh last couple weeks ago. They continue to do that. They can make a little head in the playoffs, Coach.
Yeah, and lately in the last 5 games, after their bye, now they're getting their act together a little bit. They're averaging 31 points a game. Joe seems to be healthy and more confident and throwing the ball down the field. A lot more plus 20 pass completions. But you know what? You look at their schedule and you look at their body of work. You know, I guess they don't have any quality wins, but they have some almost quality wins. They beat Detroit 44-20. That's a good win, Mike. Detroit's at 8-16. What are you laughing at? They went into Cincinnati and shut them out 20-0. They went into Lambeau and won 23-0. I know there was a backup quarterback, but you know what? Hey, this team is improving. The defense is already there. If the offense can keep their end of the bargain up, they got a chance to win a playoff game or 2.
They do have a chance. I just find that funny, the statement, almost a quality win. Right. My only issue is, look at the players around Joe Flacco. I mean, when you think about it, Mike Wallace is the leading receiver in yards, 648 yards, and Ben Watson leading in receptions and touchdowns. They need a receiver that leads both of them. They need a pure #1 receiver.
Well, we'll be talking about that during the draft.
Yeah.
It ain't going to happen right now.
And that's the thing that I think will keep them from going where they want to go this year.
Again, I don't know. Like I said, we had this conversation in 2011. It's the same talk we had. It's who have the Ravens beaten? What are they going to do? And then they started beating teams. Remember that one when they went into Denver? And I know they needed a nice tip ball to Jacoby Jones to survive that one and win that one.
You're right.
But Flacco had the magic touch. Yeah. Why can't he start having the magic touch?
And if they get in, they're 5, they go to Kansas City, let's say, maybe this great defense can hold down Alex Smith.
Maybe they wind up in
But they're
Foxborough
going to see Pittsburgh or New England, and that offense is going to have to pitch ahead and say, I'm in it, because those two teams are going to score points on every defense in the National Football League.
Colts and Ravens today. Now, before moving on in our football day, we want to pause for a moment to pay our respects to a man who made many a football day for us a special day for decades. Dick Enberg was simply one of the best at his craft in several sports: basketball, baseball, tennis, the Olympics, and especially, obviously, for all of us, professional football. The genial, dapper, first-rate storyteller and Central Michigan man took part in broadcasting 10 Super Bowls, including all 3 of the triplets Cowboys wins, and lent his passionate voice to the drive and the fumble and countless other NFL memories he turned into special memories for us. On Thursday morning, his voice may have been extinguished at the age of 82, but for all sports fans everywhere, Dick Enberg and his essence and spirit will live on forever for, oh my, was it grand. Dick Enberg, father, grandfather, husband, brilliant broadcaster. Rest in peace.
Get your Christmas Eve morning started Sunday at 7 a.m. with NFL Game Day Morning. Ezekiel Elliott is back from suspension, just in time for an elimination game against the Seahawks. Our guys will let you know if Zeke will bring joy to Jerry's world. And with Zeke back, the playmaker sits down with Dak.
We're worried about Seattle. We get this win. We know how dangerous, how confident, how explosive this offense and this team can be in general.
2 weeks ago, the Falcons held off the Saints.
Breeze shoots it. End zone intercepted.
Kurt Warner explains whether Matty Ice will be naughty or nice in New Orleans. All that plus the return of Santamooch. The holiday edition of NFL Game Day Morning starts Sunday at 7 a.m. Then at 9, it's Rich and the gang taking you right up to kickoff.
And we welcome you. The start of the 96th meeting all time between the Saints and Falcons. Devontae, touchdown, left side, Atlanta.
Catch made by Tommy Lee, stays on his feet, dives into the end zone, touchdown. And so the Saints leap in front by a score of 17-10.
Center of the field score. The ball game is tied.
We have a Falcon lead by 3.
The Saints, you're okay. You're still in a pretty good situation.
Breeze shoots it. End zone intercepted. Oh my goodness. It's unbelievable. 20-17. The Falcons beat the Saints. I will offer you this. Christmas Eve at the Louisiana Superdome. It'll be fun, won't it? Oh my gosh.
And since that day, the drama has only, the plot's only thickened, okay? Because the Panthers ended Aaron Rodgers' season last week. They go they welcome in the Buccaneers, whose ground the Falcons survived on Monday night. Now the Falcons go into New Orleans this week, which took on a game Jets team last week and beat them. So if the Saints win, they clinch the NFC South. Or if the Panthers lose, or they win the last 2 games. If they win out their end, as you can see, the Panthers need some help. Falcons just win in the Superdome this weekend and then beat the Panthers on the following Sunday, which could be, who knows, game 256 when it all comes down to it. It's a wide-open race with the exception of Tampa, which is already out of it. Who's the favorite, do you think, in the NFC South, Michael Irvin?
Man, let's go. And we talked about this a couple weeks ago when we were down in Atlanta, and I picked the Saints then, and I felt funny in that game when I got there because I felt the feeling of Atlanta, and they did win the game. But I still say the Saints. I think the Saints, and I think the biggest part today, the Saints get back, well, I got back last week, but they get back Kamara to go in that game because remember in Atlanta, he got hurt early in that game. But this guy right here, this is the difference maker for the Saints offense. Both of these offenses, Saints in Atlanta, high-flying offense. But this dude right here gives you that oomph. Mark Ingram gives you that power. He gives you the explosiveness. He is incredible, Coach. Without him, that's why they lost that game to Atlanta. They have him tomorrow.
And he got hurt in the first series with that concussion. No running back has more receiving yards than this guy right here.
Right.
No running back has more touchdowns than he does. And you know what? When he's on the field, the Saints average 1.9 more yards per play. That's astronomical. And so Alvin Kamara is really a dynamic player. What a 1-2 punch that they have. So to me, the Saints, who have already swept the Panthers, You win this game. This is like a playoff game in December, right? You win this game, man. Look, that's it.
Well, all three of these teams can clinch a playoff berth this weekend with a win. Obviously, that won't happen because New Orleans plays Atlanta straight up. Carolina with a win against Tampa at home. They're in the playoffs as an 11-win team. And then the Falcons, as I mentioned, play Carolina in Week 17. New Orleans goes to Tampa in Week 17. That's the way that thing's all playing out right now.
I love how the NFL schedules these division games at the end. This is a round-robin tournament in the NFC South.
That was all.
So brilliant.
That all came out. If you remember, the Colts started. They took a knee on their undefeated season.
Yeah,
right.
With a couple games.
Right.
And so the league basically is like, here's what we're going to do. We're going to just take division games and just jam them in the back.
It was so smart.
We're going to backload the regular season with division games.
Yeah, this is the best thing.
Smart. It was so smart.
Because even if
you wrap
stuff
like that,
even if you wrap it up and you got a playoff spot, you want to beat your rival.
Right.
In that
and we've been having it like this the last few years, and we talk about it each year around this time. We get to these last games, and they mean so much. And it's just an incredible thing. And I love these games that are coming down. You got Atlanta has to go to New Orleans and then go to Carolina to get in the playoffs. You can't sit and rest anybody. You have to play it through.
Well, they've already been to Carolina, just so you know. That was the one where Julio Jones had one in the end zone and didn't corral it. Made a meme, unfortunately for him. And now Carolina's got to go to Atlanta, and it means a lot for Cam regardless because that's his home city. It's just a lot of stuff going on in that division, the NFC South. And then, of course, there's the drama on who's on the outside looking in. The intertwined seasons of Ezekiel Elliott and the Dallas Cowboys have featured all the twists and turns of a fascinating drama. And while the Cowboys are still on the outside and are sitting on that playoff bubble, they survived the 6-game absence of their star running back to put themselves right smack dab in the midst of the postseason conversation for the moment.
Back on Thanksgiving, the Cowboys' season seemed dead and buried. The Chargers had just sent them to a third straight defeat. They'd been outscored during that skid by a combined 92-22.
They are literally a shell of the football team they expected.
Ezekiel Elliott's suspension was only half complete, and a one-time title contender had fallen from the last playoff spot to the back of a 5-team wild card hunt.
It's the worst stretch of football since franchise inception.
But then, perhaps unexpectedly, came signs of life. First came big wins over the Redskins and Giants. Then, an improbable escape against the Raiders by the slimmest of margins.
He dives for the pylon. The ruling on the field is a touchback.
And as other playoff hopefuls have stumbled down the stretch, last year's leading rusher has returned, perhaps in the nick of time.
Come on, baby, let's get it.
The Cowboys must win out and get some help along the way. But a team once left for dead has proven to be very much alive.
Well, as we're 2 days before Christmas, it seems the only thing missing here is the Lords of Leaping and the Partridge in the Pear Tree and all that sort of stuff. But they have to win out. They need some help in the NFC South. And the Lions still have to lose one of their final 2 games. We would go into the details, but just trust us, this is the situation for Dallas. However, it all does start, as we mentioned, tomorrow.
NFL GameDay Kickoff is brought to you by...
It starts tomorrow in the Metroplex as Jane Slater joins us right. Oh, this update is brought to you by Jane Slater. Jane, take it away.
Well, Rich, Dallas defensive end DeMarcus Lawrence said that having Ezekiel Elliott back means that they get that joyfulness and that playfulness that they missed in the locker room. He really is a big kid. I asked Des Bryant what he thought of his conditioning, and Bryant joked with me that he looks so lean, it made his head look bigger. All the players I talked to agreed that he gives them this emotional boost that they need to make this final push. And with the Seattle Seahawks allowing guys like Todd Gurley and Leonard Fournette to rush for a combined 253 yards in their last 2 contests, this could very well be the week that Zeke puts up those 200 yards that he promised Eric Dickerson in a recent bet. Offensive coordinator Scott Linehan promised that he would see significant touches on Sunday, Rich.
Okay, it's one of the first now let's talk about what happened in the Metroplex as the backdrop of this conversation. That Ezekiel Elliott comes back. There's a teaser of a video of a 42 days in Cabo video of him working out, that when he was asked about it, didn't even want to talk about it, didn't say he was going to come out, what people should glean from it. He says, I'm not talking about it, ended an entire conversation in front of his locker, and now comes the game. So we're wondering in the media if this is something to be concerned about, or is he just really focused on balling up all his aggression and taking it out on the Seattle Seahawks. Michael Irvin, what do you think, based on everything, what you've seen from this young man since returning, his process is going to be on Sunday?
I was in the building Thursday. I was in the building Thursday to sit down with Dak Prescott, and of course, Dak and I, we talk, we spend some time together, and I'm walking out of the building, you know, and you heard Jane talk about how much he means to that locker room. And all of the guys were in the cafeteria, and I'm yelling, and we're just kind of messing around. And as I'm walking out, there was one guy leaning back, and he said, "Hey, you're not going to say anything to me."
He talks like you?
Who's that? You know, that's how he does. And I turned, I said, oh, it was Zeke. I said, "Hey, boy, so great to see you in this building." Rich, Coach, I'm telling you, there was a brightness to his face. Like there was, like the weight of the world has been gone, lifted off his shoulders. And one of the guys, Mickey Spagnola, stopped me. He said, Michael, he said, Zeke won't even talk about any more of that stuff. He will not address it no matter what. He says he's put it behind him. And I believe he's put it behind him. And I believe you're going to see it on the football field, and defenses are going to feel it on the football field, because, you know, when I grabbed him, he felt like a rock. Like me? I said, "Boy, you feel like you're ready to go play some football." He said, "Man, I'm so ready to get back on the field. I guarantee you he's going to be ready to play."
This is the perfect time for him to put everything in the past behind him, reboot, and here we go. And they're kidding about looking lean with a big head, because if he's been down there training properly, like I'm assuming he did, man, he is the freshest back in the National Football League, Rich. He should have no pain. He should be fresh-legged. He should be raring to go and anxious to get behind this great offensive line that has 3 guys in the Pro Bowl. And before he was suspended, when he was on the field, they were 8th best in offense. Without him, they're 30th, because it's not just missing the run game with him. The pass game suffers. The play-action pass game suffers. The whole thing. So he is going to add a boost of energy, not just production, to this offense. Well, man, look out, Seattle.
When you look at them going right up to the time that they took Zeke off the field, going up to that time, when we go back, the Dallas Cowboys looked like one of the best teams in the National Football League. They just plainly look like one of the best teams in the National Football League, and I believe they get back to that. You know, they all felt like we held it together till we got Zeke back, and now Zeke feels like he owes them something. You held it together. I'm back. Now let's get this and ride it into the offseason. I just can't wait to see the game.
So you think there's nothing that will manifest itself on the field based on what we saw the last couple of days? Because I'll just bring this up again. If the strategy was Zeke's not going to talk about it, why put out a video about the 42 days that he was gone?
Why it's smart?
Which you know,
smart, because
you know the microphone's going to be in front of his face and say, "Well, what about it?" And he's like, "I'm not talking about it."
I'm not talking. Which he could have gotten on there and promoted it and said, "No, turn him a video." But when he says, "I'm not talking about it," what does that make you want to do? I want to find out what he's not talking about. Now, what do you have to do? You got to go find out that video. You got to go look at his stuff.
Well, but is the idea to have people watch the video? If the idea is to have people watch the video, is it because you want to show what his dedication to staying in shape is, or? Again, I'm truly not trying to stir stuff up. This is what people are talking about in the Metroplex right now. Right. Because there's not much to talk about until there's a football game tomorrow.
And I'm okay with that. And they can talk about the video, talk about everything. I just want Zeke talking about yards and touchdowns. What holes am I hitting? Boom, boom, boom. What yards am I getting? Boom, boom. What touchdowns? You guys can handle all of that stuff. I love that he's saying, I'm not addressing it. And, Rich, you know, let's be real here. Once he opens up the can, it goes they go everywhere in the can. You know, they start asking all questions, not just about what happened in Cabo, but they rehash all the things that he's trying to put behind him and focus on football.
So then why put a video out at all?
Yeah, because I'm sure you have some sponsors saying
that's all I'm saying. I'm just wondering, because you know a video out there is going to get people asking him about the last 42 days.
He's doing business in business.
Well, I can't wait to play this game, because once he plays and once he has X amount of yards and touchdowns and there's a score, that's what we're going to be talking about. Yeah, I can't wait to start talking about Zeke, the Cowboys, Seattle game, and
that's what he wants.
And that's it. That going forward is what I'm concerned about right now.
With Earl Thomas and Bobby Wagner coming downhill to try and meet him in the hole, that's going to be a lot of fun
coming downhill, disputing each other.
I know, right?
So, you know, this is going to be interesting.
It sure is.
There's a lot going in there.
Zeke is back, and the Cowboys are still alive. Still alive.
What is that?
They've taken 5 shots, and they're still alive. Oh, yeah, the dogs are out, too.
It's America's team.
Don't go anywhere. Still so much more until kickoff to Week 16 in M&T Bank. The bank is open on a Saturday.
NFL Game Day Kickoff is presented by KFC. A $5 fill-up makes a great gift to your mouth. It's finger-licking good. And brought to you by Amazon Prime.
Yes, there is the Balmer Harbor. Season 2 of The Wire, as well as Week 16 of the NFL season, taking place right there.
I'm gonna fight for you. I know you're gonna fight for me. Ain't no one like me. I'm a legend. Ain't no one like me. I'm a legend. 'Cause I've been down so long that my crown and God is lifted. Ain't no one like me. I'm a legend. He is born.
Welcome to Kickoff Special, presented by Mercedes-Benz.
The band is out in the concourse. That's some old school NFL scene right there. Like Redskins have a band. And
you love a pro team with a band.
Mid-Atlantic teams cutting their bands, man. And the Colts used to belong, obviously, in the Mid-Atlantic. Now they are. Well, the band is now out around his knees.
This is another new quarterback warm-up thing.
Oh man, I mean that gets the whole hip flexors and everything. Tell me about it. Jacoby Brissett didn't start Week 1. He started every single game since then. Man, this Colts team entering Week 16 may have a new coach in just a span of about 9 days from now, and then Andrew Luck, his future completely up in the air based on what we're seeing in his shoulder. Meanwhile, the Ravens have kept on keeping on. Once upon a time, 4-5, now 8-6. 4 quarters against the Indianapolis Colts away from a 9-6 mark, sitting there in the clubhouse at 9-6 with the rest of the league having to play 2 more games. Certainly the Titans, who are home against the Rams, and the Bills, who are at New England. Tough games for them. The Ravens would love to be sitting in the clubhouse, as I said, sitting there at 9-6 with the Chargers visiting the New York Jets in week number 16. What are we watching today, Steve Mariucci? Give us a matchup to watch today.
Have you heard of that guy named Frank Gore? Mike, where's he from?
He's from you. Do you know it? You know it. Frank.
Wow. 13 season. 13 season. Incredible. You know what, Mike? 1,000 scrimmage yards for the 12th time.
It's unbelievable.
Are you kidding me? Only your buddy Emmitt Smith has more than that. And he didn't do it all in the snow. A lot of it's been in the dome. But you know what? He's age 34, everybody, and he's playing against this 14th-ranked run defense of the Ravens. I can't wait to watch this future Hall of Famer pound it in there against a good team and see him just keep ticking. It's amazing the career he's had and how tough this guy is. From the U, Mike.
Yeah, Coach, I love him, man. We were talking about it last Thursday, and afterwards we grabbed something to eat. He and I were talking about me coming when I watched him in high school at Coral Gables High School. I mean, he's just a beast, man. He still looks great. But he's running against that other side that I want to watch today, Coach. Though I think the only real playoff aspect to this whole game lies within that Ravens defense. Now, you're watching him run up against one of the best defenses in the National Football League, a 4th in scoring defenses. And I want to give T-Sizzle a little love here, because you remember how many times did we talk about this Ravens defense never getting back to where they are now without Ray Lewis and Ed Reed and the leadership. T-Sizzle stepped up on that leadership. When they talked about him staying in Baltimore this year, getting the offseason work in, making sure that he becomes that leader, much love to that man and getting that defense. I want to watch this tonight.
All right, well, there's another all-time U great that's part of our broadcast out there in Baltimore with one of the finest from the UVA. That would be Melissa Stark.
Oh, really know how to get you ready.
What's going on, Herb?
The crowd is fired up, and we still have our umbrellas, even though it's just a slight drizzle.
Slight drizzle.
We don't want Reggie to get wet here in his fine-looking outfit that he's got on. But it is expected to rain throughout the game. And you just heard the guys talking about what matchup they're looking at. What are you looking at?
I know a lot of talking in Baltimore has been about this tough defense, but I want to see what Joe Flacco does. If you want to be a playoff caliber team and go far into the playoffs, you're going to have to rely on Joe Flacco and his arm and him getting the team in the right situation. Since week 10, Joe Flacco has been playing pretty good. Can he keep that up? And all of a sudden, you look around at his stats and you see if he has a 90-plus passer rating, this team is 6-0. So I want to see if he keeps that up.
Well, Joe Flacco, you know, has seen it all, of course, and they're looking to get back in the playoffs for the first time since 2014. He does not have, we should point out, his wide receiver Jeremy Maclin today.
That'll be tough. That'll be tough, but that's when everybody else have to step their game up and fill in that void.
Well, speaking of that, one matchup I'm looking at, or one guy, is Mike Wallace, because he's on my fantasy team. I'm in the NFL Network Talent Finals against Scott Hansen.
Good luck.
Well, I guess they're fired up about that. So, Mike Wallace, hoping he has a big day today.
She needs you, Mike.
Thank you very much. No, I'm not in the talent finals.
You didn't make the finals. Who's that?
Well, I wasn't in it. You know, Fabiano didn't want to invite me because he just knows I would beat him up and down the block.
Sure, that's
And by the way, if Big Ben's touchdown to Jesse James had stood, I'd have beaten Fabiano in that league.
Darn it. That's why you're so angry about
I'm a bitter man. I'm a bitter man. I need a little Christmas cheer. No question.
One man! One man! One family! One man! One spirit! One spirit! It's together! Together! We do all things! We do all things!
What a throw by Peyton Manning. Throws underneath. Reggie, touchdown!
Give us Jamal Lewis. He's got a hold.
He's in the end zone.
Down he goes. Wow.
Field!
Absolutely unbelievable.
Intercepted by Ed Reed.
Sacrifice everything you got for each other today. And let's walk out of here, champ.
Kickoff Special is presented by Mercedes-Benz. The best or nothing.
Yes, the complex they call the Nest in Baltimore, what with the Orioles and Ravens playing right next door to each other. Would be a rain out at the bottom of your screen, at the top, not so much. Ezekiel Elliott back at practice this week. There he is. And as Irv said, he was there this week interviewing Dak Prescott one-on-one for game day morning tomorrow, and this young man was completely focused. Jane Slater is at the Star for us. Take it away, Jane.
Rich, Seattle comes into town banged up with a number of injuries on defense, but the Cowboys know Russell Wilson, the Seahawks quarterback, can will win himself. As a matter of fact, defensive coordinator Rod Marinelli was asked if containing Wilson meant just keeping him in the middle, and he said, oh, yeah. He said, if you allow him to run or pass on the outside, he is wicked. When you look at the Cowboys, they've won their last 3, and they're getting Zeke back at the right time. This Seahawks defense, when you look at Todd Gurley and Leonard Fournette, what they did in the last 2 weeks, they gave up a combined 253 rushing yards. Rich?
Thanks very much, Jane. Irv, now, are we seeing this whole piece right now, or is it tomorrow you're saving the best for tomorrow?
I'm going to give you a little bit now and a little bit later, just like that candy that I loved when I was growing up. You know, 214 is the area code that covers the Dallas-Fort Worth area. It's also the number that covers 2 best friends, 21, Ezekiel Elliott, and number 4, Dak Prescott. These 2 second-year stars have rocked the NFL and stolen the hearts of Dallas Cowboy fans all over the world. And after a 6-game absence for Ezekiel Elliott, Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott wants you to know that they are reunited, and it feels so good. Without Zeke, you guys go through the first 3 games, and you lose all 3, and then the second 3 games, you win all 3. Put a finger on what's the difference between the first 3 and the second 3.
I think we quit paying attention to who wasn't there. We focused on who was there, and we focused on the strengths and the people that were there, and we weren't looking to our left, we weren't looking to our right in the huddle. We were asking for the ball.
Throws it over the middle, caught! Rod Smith into the end zone.
I went from the whole mindset of, to me, looking for someone to make a play to each individual, wanting to make that play that eventually wins the game. And we got going, we got our confidence back and started rolling.
They're going to give it to Elliott right up the middle. He's going to walk the dog.
What are your expectations for Zeke in his first game back? They were showing pictures of him working out. You know, I mean, you saw cuts in places that ain't nobody's had cuts. I mean, he looked very good.
Oh yeah, he won't miss a beat. I think I know he's in better shape now than he was before his suspension. At practice, just seeing the way he's been practicing this week, he won't miss a beat. He's ready to go.
Let's go Cowboys on 3. 1, 2, 3.
How dangerous, how good can the Dallas Cowboys team be going into this last stretch and possibly getting into the playoffs?
Dangerous team, very dangerous. And like you said, Zeke coming back, our offense and our team and our defense, the way they're playing, picking things up these last 3 games with this momentum. We continue to do things we're doing and get better, win these couple too. Very dangerous.
Would you say you would be the most dangerous team in the playoffs if you make the playoffs?
I would.
You would state they're the most dangerous team.
Okay, I want to see the rest.
Yeah.
We have to wait? We have to wait till tomorrow?
Yeah, you got to wait till tomorrow, man. But I mean, I was just thinking about this, and I want to give Rocky Arsenal, who's Zeke's agent, some credit. 'Cause when I see that and I see what Zeke looks like, that's really brilliant, Rich. I know we were talking about it before, but it's brilliant to put him through this for the next 42 days or where they're filming everything, because it gave him an immediate something to focus on and get ready for every day. So he didn't get a chance to take any time off, and he's ready to play.
Maybe it's a good news start that's well documented here, and away we go. Huh?
He's
like a Rocky movie.
I know, but then people are going to ask him about it,
well,
and he doesn't want to talk about it,
right,
which makes it more interesting.
It just creates
a
whole
teaser.
It's a Belichick
poop storm when he comes back.
That's what you call a Belichick.
You know what I'm saying?
The more you don't talk about it, the more they want.
I can't wait to watch the rest of that. That was a good lead-in, too.
Yeah, it was good. That's good.
Great job.
Dak's so buttoned up.
Look forward to
He's
tomorrow.
such a great dude, man.
Lots
Dak Prescott, great dude.
Still to come today.
He's really.
Here's the playoff picture presented by 12 Strong in theaters January 19th.
We have it. So in terms of the NFC's playoffs picture, there's only going to be 6 strong when it's all said and done. As you can see, the Cowboys need to win out, have the Lions lose once, and then have the Falcons lose out as well in order to have a shot at making the playoffs right there as the 6th seed. The Panthers win against the Bucs tomorrow. They're already in as the 11-win team. There's a wild card spot at the very least. They still might even have a shot at the division. Who, when it's all said and done, Steve's going to be sitting there at 5 and 6 in the NFC?
You know, when I'm looking through the schedule, and it's really a juicy schedule coming up in these next 2 weeks, I have all teams coming from the NFC South, Mike. Sorry about that. You're going home in the Metroplex early. I got the Saints, of course, and the Panthers that sit at 10-4 right now, and they should end up with 12 and 11 wins. And then the Atlanta Falcons sitting at 9-5. I don't know if they can win at New Orleans, but it won't matter because they can win their last home game against the Carolina Panthers. They're in at 10-6 because they will win the tiebreaker over all the other teams, Lions, Seahawks, and Cowboys. So I'm NFC South, 3 teams.
And I got Atlanta actually losing those 2 games, losing both of those games. And it's easily possible losing those games. I got Dallas, of course, winning out. But the kicker here, the kicker is those Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
And Detroit Lions, I know you got Green Bay last without Aaron Rodgers, but they got Cincinnati. And I'm telling you, just like the Detroit Lions, Coach, the powder blue won't let you down. I guarantee you, watch this Cincinnati game. Somehow, some way, Detroit will lose one of those games.
Really?
Wow. It may come down, who knows, if it does come down to Atlanta has the tiebreak over every single team that's chasing them right now, and including the Packers, too, if they were still in it. The Lions, Seahawks, and Cowboys. Could you imagine it comes down to the Falcons make the playoffs because that touchdown got that 10-second runoff because that touchdown got taken off the board in Detroit?
Unbelievable.
That may actually happen. That may happen. And the Bills might be out because they started Nate Peterman one week, too.
That's so amazing.
That all is the drama that may play out over the next 2 weeks. Next 8 days,
Rich,
actually.
you're pulling that for almost every team. There's one play here
there's
and
always
there.
something.
Isn't that amazing, though? That's the game. That's the game we love.
Kickers are tweeters, too, man.
They are.
They're hashtaggers also. And it's part of the reason why the Ravens are in this thing. They play defense, they run the ball, and they play special teams.
This would probably be a horrible time to mention I got to pee.
I think it just smells out here. I don't know what it is.
Yeah!
Yes, sir! That's just what we need.
Touchdown! I need a sack.
Oh, okay.
Oh, take the sack!
Let's go! Let's go!
Let my instincts go.
Yeah, go play football.
How many tackles you got? The 2 best friends, but they didn't have a handshake.
Put us in the right spot. What a game.
If the Ravens defense can come through, they keep this team on the path to the playoffs. Sacked by Terrell Suggs.
Well, that one blew up on the Titans in a hurry.
Forces a fumble. Ball is loose, and the Ravens have the ball. An enormous play. Eric Weddle has it, and he's going all the way.
It's intercepted by Mosley. He's going to score.
Party time in Baltimore. They have had some fun today.
And again, if you're believing that axiom that defense wins championships, the Ravens have got a darn good one heading into potentially January. 4th in the NFL, allowing just only 18 points per game.
A bit above that.
They lead the NFL in takeaways. Unfortunately for them, they've got Jimmy Smith, the young corner that's out for the year with a bad Achilles. They have a running game to go along with it. The kid Alex Collins is really coming on strong. And then, man, they kick the heck out of the ball, punting it and also kicking it through the uprights in that stadium where Melissa Stark is standing by. Melissa?
Rich, and I'm standing by with a guy, Reggie Wayne, who played for 14 seasons for the Colts, so knows this Ravens defense well. You put up some pretty solid numbers.
Not bad, not bad.
Against them, but what challenges do
I'm
they
going to say, before you talk about this defense, let's talk about the history of these two teams. Back in 1983, the Colts relocated to Indianapolis.
I lived it.
And it's still some upset Ravens fans.
Yep.
Every time on the bus ride in, they made it real hard for us to come in peacefully.
Right.
It was always rough. And then you have the player announcements, you know, the introductions. It's unique. Now, there's no Ed Reed and no Ray Lewis coming out, but it's real unique, and it gets this crowd really going. Now you talk about the defense. This defense reacts to that crowd. Whenever that crowd's excited, it amps that defense up. So if the Colts want to have a chance today, you got to find a way to get that crowd out of it.
Take the crowd out of it.
Absolutely.
Well, we should point out that they already have 3 shutouts this Ravens defense does this season. Reggie and the Colts hoping that they don't make it 4.
Don't make it 4.
Today.
All right, thanks very much. You know, we haven't mentioned this as we get to key ingredients presented by Bud Light. During this show, guy who, as you know, we'll get to the key ingredients for Bud Light. We'll tell you that news in a second. Go for it, Steve.
How about C.J. Mosley right here? 120 tackles this year. That's 6 in the National Football League. Has 6 interceptions over the last couple years. That's most for linebackers, tied with Ryan Shazier. How about this first rounder from Alabama? He's been to 3 Pro Bowlers already.
Yeah, my man right here coming up was T-Sizzle right there. Just gave him a love for stepping up in his leadership role, man. Tied for 6th in the NFL with 11 sacks. This is 7th season with double-digit sacks, and also the blessing after you play like that is selected to the 7th Pro Bowl. T-Sizzle, man, way to step up and be the man.
Wait a minute, that's Eric Weddle or Old St. Nick? Look at that.
Yeah, I like Old St. Nick.
Right here.
Look
He's
at that
second
beard.
in the league with 6 interceptions. He's first with beard. All right, 4 interceptions lately, last 6 games. He's been selected again, another great year, to his 5th Pro Bowl. Eric Weddle, everybody, look out.
Dilly, indeed. Look at that.
I love that right there. That's cool. I don't know why the L.A. Chargers let him get away. They must have been out of their mind.
Well, San Diego let him.
The L.A. Chargers. San Diego did let him get away. Okay, but he's there to tutor this young man right here, to teach him the game. Rookie first-round pick out of Alabama, 16th overall pick, Marlon Humphreys. You can learn from that bet right there that the San Diego Chargers let get away. This man leads all Ravens with 33 takeaways.
Shocking the Ravens have a kid from Alabama that they drafted.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Shocker.
Ozzie loves those Crimson Tide, huh?
Everybody loves them.
And as we discussed the Ravens defense, by the way, during our pregame show, the Steelers released James Harrison of News in the AFC North with Marcus Gilbert coming back. The right tackle getting some offensive line help for Big Ben, and that offense is without Antonio Brown. Well, Harrison is released.
Oh, he's been there a long time. What a
that?
career he's had. He wasn't playing much, right?
No, he wasn't. His playing time was diminished, but he won a game for them against, of all teams, Kansas City.
Yeah.
Maybe if they play Kansas City in the playoffs, they bring him back just to
Kurt Warner.
Just to
Let's show
scare
that clip.
How far do you think this Ravens defense can take this team? Anybody? Bueller?
Well, yeah, you know what? You know, the defense wins championships slogan, yeah, that's one thing, but they're good. They're legit, all right? And you're talking about these 3 Pro Bowlers that we just showed. You know, they can do their part. But in this league, in the playoffs, man, they're going to be running up. If they make the playoffs, which we think they will, you're talking about having to outscore maybe a Ben Roethlisberger or Tom Brady's offense, right? Or you're going to have to talk about scoring enough points against a great Jags defense, or the Kansas City Chiefs, who can be really good on certain occasions, right? So I think they can make the playoffs. How deep, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I worry about it, and I always say this, Coach. I know you just said defense wins championships, and everybody says that. I don't necessarily buy all of that, but I do believe. But I believe scoring defenses and turnover defense can help you win championships because it gives you the ball back to score points. And this team right here, 4th in scoring defense, #1 in turnover defense, that gives them a chance because it's giving Flacco the ball more and it's giving him a short field. This is the kind of defense that can win championships. I don't say that they are.
And as you saw, that was the Colts offense in the tunnel that's going to have to make some hay against that defense. Kickoff special presented by Lyft, which will take you to the kickoff of this game in a moment.
Thank you for watching Kickoff Special, presented by Mercedes-Benz.
Kickoff Special is presented by Mercedes-Benz. The best or nothing.
It's a Christmas Day special. It's Steelers. It's Texans.
1, 2, 3,
Big Ben, Le'Veon Bell, and Pittsburgh look to celebrate the holidays in style.
And they got it.
As they gear up for another deep playoff run.
Let's go!
But Jadeveon Clowney and Houston want to gift their fans with a game to remember.
That's something you don't see every day.
Steelers, Texans. When it's on, it's on. Christmas Day at 4:30 on NFL Network, NBC, and streaming on Amazon Prime Video.
You are looking live at Baltimore, Maryland, where it's been raining for much of the day and may be raining during the kickoff to Christmas weekend in the National Football League.
This is how legends are made.
Welcome to Kickoff Special, presented by Lyft.
The statue of one of the most famous Baltimore Colts. That's the foot of Johnny Unitas. That's outside of M&T Bank Stadium as the Indianapolis Colts come into Baltimore to try and knock Joe Flacco and the Ravens down a peg as the 7th-seeded Ravens are the first out on the field with 2 games to go in this playoff race of all the teams that are still in the playoff chase in the 2017 American Football Conference that had T.Y. Hilton and the Colts as a favorite had Andrew Luck been a quarterback. But as we all know, Luck never suited up once in 2017. Amazing. As Scott Tolzien got the Week 1 start and Jacoby Brissett has gotten every start since up until this day. I am Rich Eisen along with Steve Mariucci and Michael Irvin, Pro Football Hall of Famer, here on the Kickoff Special presented by Lyft. We're taking you up to kickoff of the first of 32 remaining regular season games that are going to play out intensely in the wild card race in the AFC playoff pictures. We all know the Patriots and Steelers have clinched their divisions and are close to clinching bye weeks. The Jaguars are still lurking for a bye week. They've already clinched a playoff berth and can clinch a division shortly. The Chiefs, 1 win over the Dolphins at 6-8 away from clinching the AFC West. And then you see there are the Los Angeles Chargers, once upon a time at 0-4, having a game at the Jets and then a home game against the Raiders. And if they win out, they still have a chance. The Ravens winning today would get them in the 9-win club and a nice post-position spot in the clubhouse watching everybody else play things out, like the Titans home against the Rams. And then you've got the Bills at the Patriots, for crying out loud. So the Ravens really need a win today. It would put them in a great spot. Steve Mariucci, you're up first here on our conversation here. What are you looking forward to in this game today?
You know, as I watch this team, you know, the Ravens' defense is legit. We know that. And I think they will get into the playoffs because they will win these 2 home games. But I want to see this much improved offense of the Ravens continue to be much improved. Since the bye, they're 4-1. They're hitting more on all 8 cylinders. This guy right here, Joe Flacco's been better, but everybody's been better. They take care of the ball. They run the football. They're scoring points. And in fact, the last 3 games, only 1 interception and a 94 passer rating, more big plays. But to me, if you're going to be a playoff team and win a playoff game or two, you got to be good on both sides of the ball. I want to see this Ravens offense continue to dominate and excel getting into the playoffs.
Especially against a team like the Colts.
Yes.
You got to do this right.
They have to show that to us.
If you're planning on doing anything in the playoffs. But on the other side, and okay, I get all of that with the Ravens. What is it in for the coach and everything? And I want to look at the young quarterback, Jacoby Brissett. If I'm one of these teams out there, Coach, that needs a quarterback, I want to see how this kid plays against this top defense. Because I think he's done a wonderful job given the circumstances in which he's come into Indy. And we're always talking about young quarterbacks only in his second year. If I'm a team out there, I'm looking at this game, and I have some kind of draft pick, something ready to go and offer Indy soon as Andrew Luck comes back for that young man right there, Jacoby Brissett. When we were there, I saw all those kids with his numbers on, with number 7. I was like, I was shocked in Indy because I thought they would think that they were being unfaithful to Andrew Luck, but they love Brissett.
Yeah, if I'm Indy, I'd keep that kid.
A 21st century football story.
You keep them both.
Former Baltimore Colts at former Cleveland Browns in Baltimore. Melissa Stark, as a native Baltimorean, watched that all play out from a front row seat. She is with Reggie Wayne, one of the best in the history of the Indianapolis Colts, outside of the stadium in Baltimore. Melissa?
We are here indeed. Happy to be here because Rich knows we've had umbrellas for the last couple of hours. We're able to put them down. The rain has stopped for a bit, but it is expected to rain during the game. Okay, so Reggie, who spent 14 seasons with the Indianapolis Colts. Not a lot of people out there giving the Colts a chance in this one. I'm going to let Reggie tell us how they're going to pull off the upset.
Well, what they're going to have to do offensively, you have a future Hall of Famer in Frank Gore. Let's use him. Use him early and often. Then bring in Marlon Mack on third downs. Maybe you can dump it off to him and let him use his speeds to get first downs. Another thing you have to do, first and second down, you have to win that. Because if it's third and long, now Terrell and company, they're going to pin their ears back, and they're going to get after Jacoby Brissett. And then also defensively, you got to find ways that could create pressure to Joe Flacco. Pressure him up the middle, find a way to get him off his mark, and you may have a chance to win.
And I know quickly that you spent time with your former teammates last night, and they have something to play for.
They do. And a lot of people will look at their record and they will say, hey, it's 3-11. Bring the U-Haul out. Let's pack up and get ready to go home. But no, you can't do that. They don't really know what Chuck Pagano's fate is. You don't know if he's going to be there or not. So you have to prepare and play hard because the next coach that come in, he may not like you. You may not be a guy that was on his radar. So you have to go out and put good film out there. And not only for the Colts, but there's 31 other teams that you have to play hard for.
Yeah, so it may not be both playing for the same thing today, but both teams with something to play for. Rich, back to you.
All right, T-Sizzle warming up. He's going to try and bag himself some Brissett. He's firing up his teammates right now, coming out of the smoke in Baltimore shortly. The experts play against him in the weekly Pick'em game presented by Lexus. Go to NFL.com/Pick'em and see if you know more than the pros. If the touchdown in Pittsburgh had stood and a Derek Carr not fumbled through the end zone, I'd be tied with Irv in our picks, Chase. But I'm not. You know?
Brissett looks, throws down the middle. Caught by T.Y. and makes the catch. Touchdown. Running ahead as he throws. It's intercepted. Eric Weddle has it. Tagged by Terrell Suggs. Boy, he went right up the middle of the hole. A beautiful throw.
Jacoby Brissett puts it on the money.
He's going to go all the way in. They're not done yet.
Kickoff Special is presented by Lyft. It matters how you get there. Download and ride today.
Never miss an NFL game. Oh, look at you on a phone, Steve. Hey, you look very larger than life despite the small screen. Check out the best network with the best unlimited, only from Verizon.
Here comes the rush. Flacco in trouble. Oh, he threw it to the other team. They come from the side and they bring him down. And that is picked off. Flacco gets leveled.
Flacco fires to the back of the end zone. Touchdown! Flacco throwing deep. He's got it.
Beautiful throw by Joe Flacco.
Flacco's going to keep it himself into the end zone. Flacco lofts it to Watson.
He's just been on fire today.
All right, so the first dozen weeks of the season, it's the low-hanging fruit, fast Joe Flacco. And then the last couple of weeks, you can see it is the elite Joe Flacco that you can see right there. Look at those numerals. And we've seen this guy can get red hot at the right time, and they go deep with a good defense, a good running game, and some good special teams, which the team has. Are there enough offensive weapons around Joe Flacco to sustain this?
Rich mentioned something that special teams now. They went off.
Jerry Rosberg's a heck of a coach on
Sam
special
Cook can punt. Justin Tucker can kick.
So think about it. You just mentioned the phases, right? You got special teams, you got defense. We know they're good. And Joe Flacco's getting better, people, because remember, he hurt his back in training camp. He didn't do anything.
That's true.
You ever hurt your back, Rich? That's hard to do anything.
Yeah.
And so you're talking about starting slow, but lately this guy's been playing real good football, going 4-1 since the bye. Let's take a look at this thing. Remember against Tennessee now, when he was still trying to figure it out here, they're trying to get some first downs. You got Rashard Perriman on the outside with no center fielder, Mike. All right, and Joe sees this, and it's a good decision, but the throw's not very good. I don't know if his back's bothering him or what, but he should have thrown him across the field. This would have been an easy completion with no free safety help, yet he gets incomplete because he threw it up too high. Well, after the bye, he says, you know what? I've learned we're better right now against Detroit. You got Mike Wallace in the slot. Again, no free safety. He says, I can lead him away from trouble, throw it way over here by the sidelines. 66 yards to Mike Wallace. This sets up a score, 44 points against Detroit. Well, how about last game? So you maybe get pressure up. Bring some nickel guys off the edge, something, because Joe's getting hot, everybody. So here he comes with pressure in his face. He finds the dependable Benjamin Watson for a 33-yard touchdown. People, the last 3 games, Joe Flacco only 1 interception. He's averaging 275 yards passing the game. He seems healthy. He seems confident. He's hot. And along with the special teams and defense, this could be a dangerous team.
Rashard Perriman, Mike Wallace, that's just a lot of speed on this football team. We talk about Joe Flacco being a great deep ball thrower, but what got them there, Rich, last time was the intermediate area of the football field. Can we get Mike Wallace back to his #1 receiver days like he played when he was with Pittsburgh, and he eats up some of that intermediate area? Back then, 210, he had a season 1,257 yards and 10 touchdowns. That Mike Wallace has to show up.
The inconvenient truth, Frank Gore running downhill against the teeth of this stout defense. Something to look forward to watching on NFL Network in moments.
There you go, Frank. Appreciate that dinner, man.
There's Jacoby Brissett, who's points challenged against the Broncos for much of the game when we saw them last on national TV on Thursday night. What about today? In rainy, potentially, Baltimore. Who's winning today, presented by Mercedes-Benz? Starts with you, Reggie Wayne. What do you have for us?
Don't go home, Red. Don't go home.
This saddens me. Hey, this saddens me, guys. It really saddens me. I have Baltimore Ravens 24, the Colts 13. This defense is too good for the Colts. No way they can score on these guys.
See, he's in the paparazzi now. He's in the paparazzi now. He's giving you things.
It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, I hear you. It's going to be even tougher than that, I think. I say it's a 31-6 victory. I don't even think the Colts get in the end zone. How do you like them apples?
Wow, you got a dome team against the Ravens, maybe in the rain. I'm going to say the Ravens win 31-17. Mike?
Yeah, and I got the Ravens winning the game 27-13. Rich, I give them 1 touchdown and a couple field goals.
You do that?
Yeah.
Okay, speaking of field goals, Adam Vinatieri goes 3 for 3.
He gets his bonus.
Well, it's easier for him to get that 90% bonus, $500,000. I love how people talk about the pressure of Vinatieri. He's like, pressure, I've kicked in the snow.
So he got 3 field goals. Pressure. So I got him missing it with 2 field goals.
Well, he still has week 17 today.
Okay, you're right. Okay. Let's give him 3.
We will see Greg Gumbel with the call at halftime. We'll see you on this side.
Get your money, Adam.